Doop-doop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Welcome to the Smeggie Cave. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm super fired up right now because I just watched a video about some awesome kids that did a pro Second Amendment protest today, and I watched it from the point of view of the Young Turks, and now I'm all angry. So, anyways, got a couple people watching out there and a couple people joining in here, so I'll just say what's up to everyone, and we'll just get started. So, hello everyone.
Oh, hey,
You
how you
guys
doing?
heard the video. I would play it for the audience, but I'm scared of getting like a copyright thing, even if it's just the audio or whatever. But they said some pretty dumb stuff in there. Made me mad.
Yeah, that was it was something special. I didn't know I wanted people to die.
Oh yeah, so that was the thing, right? So they start out and the first 10 seconds or whatever was informative. Although even in the way even that first part made me mad because he's like, so it starts out, I'm gonna play the scene. I guess G-Web's jumped out. Maybe his phone's having problems. Whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna set the scene for you. So pretend I'm the young dumb Turks and the dumb jerks. Ha! No one's ever used that calling them that before, I bet. Young Turks, more like the dumb jerks. I know, it's probably everyone says it. So Mr. Dude starts up, goes, there's another student walkout today, but for Second Amendment rights? So they say. Like, that was how we framed the first thing, like with the inflection and everything. I'm obviously over exaggerating, but it's like, there's another walkout, but for the Second Amendment? Like, can you believe it? And then just adding in there, or so they say. Like, no, like they did the walkout to support the Second Amendment. Like, you don't have to qualify that of like, well, I mean, maybe that's just what they say. So, anyways, they start with that, and then when they're discussing it, so he read a couple quotes from like the organizer guy, organizer kid, 18-year-old, senior in high school, and then another person who also supported it, also another student. He read some quotes with them, who basically was like, we're seeing in the media that they're saying we need to, do something with gun laws because the kids are demanding it, and I looked to myself going, I'm not asking for this stuff. And I looked at my friends and they all said, like, they're not asking for new gun laws. So that's why they wanted to do it. So those are some pretty good quotes by the organizer and the other kid. So good on them. But then they're talking about it and they're like, so, I mean, one of the differences between like this one and the Parkland is, the Parkland student walkout is because they don't want kids to die. And it's like, so you're basically assuming that if you're doing a pro-gun thing, you want kids to die? Like, it's just so stupid. Like, the main difference is one of them doesn't want kids to die. The other one's pro-gun. Like, what does that imply? It implies the pro-gun one wants kids to die. No, nobody wants kids to die. We just disagree with you on a gun law is going to help save kids' lives, because we've seen these laws before. They don't do anything. They don't help.
I was doing some research a while back, a couple months ago, and it was like homicides were hovering. I don't remember. It was a few months ago. I want to say right around like 1 million in a year or something. No, it wasn't that. What was the number? I forget. Anyway, it was basically double what it is now. And it was like 94, 95. And then you could track. It slowly went down all the way up until like 2004, 2005. Then it had a little bit of a spike and then has come even further down since then. All the way, I think the most recent one was like 2012. And this article was attributing that to the Clinton ban. And that's not the case at all. It was the economy. The economy was so crap, is the worst it had been for a long time, and then it had slowly gotten better. And then right around 2012, it kind of went down the toilet again. The housing market like tanked. A bunch of other crap happened, you know. And then now it's been getting better ever since. Like, it's completely unrelated. Because if that were the case, it'd be way on the rise by now. It's had 14 years since 2004, when we could get all our 30 round mags and all that crap again. It'd be soaring right now.
Right, and that's if I remember correctly. And it maybe I'm thinking of like the violent crime stats, or maybe like gun homicides or something. The things they're all very similar. Like crime as a whole kind of goes up and down about the same, like whichever aspect you look at. But so it may be I'm looking at a little different one. But for the one I remember, it actually like peaked in '96. So it's like it had been going up like through the '80s and '90s. So the Clint band started in '94. It kept going up for another couple years. It peaked, then it started coming down, and like you said, yeah, it kept going down after '04. After the ban ended. And there's always, you're gonna have one year that's ticked up a little bit more than others. Like I think from everything I saw, like 2017 was a little bit higher than 2016. So if you look at just like month to month, you'd be like, oh, the like crime's going up a little bit now. But oh my god, that's a loud ass plane. Anyway, so it's gonna tick up a little bit here and there, but yeah, the general trend is definitely crime's going down. And that was one of the things too that the dumb guy on there, I can't stand the guy. I don't know any of their names, but I do watch Young Turks sometimes because I like seeing it from other people's perspective. Even though whenever they talk about guns, I pretty much just get enraged. You guys watching live missed my awesome live reaction.
Triggered.
Yeah, I was very triggered by a lot of things.
Great.
But basically what he said is, when he was talking about well, hang on, let me put some more marbles in my mouth so I can do his voice better. But the thing with it is the kids don't want kids to die, and we live in the most violent time. That's what he said. More and more kids are dying more and more often, or something like that. It's like, where do you get that from? That's just not true. It is factually not true. Crime is going down, deaths are going down, murders are going down, like everything's going down. We live in one of the best times in history.
Yeah, it was the article I was reading was talking about how it directly like the crime going down directly related to the Clinton ban. But if you look up the unemployment rates for those same years, it was actually like, you could tell it was like unemployment rate spiked, gun crime spiked. Other than like your mass murders, because how do you? I mean, there's no way you can attribute that to anything other than just monsters being monsters. You know what I mean? But as far as like just violent crime, gun crime, it from what I was seeing, it almost directly relates to the unemployment rate.
Yeah, and maybe even other, like a few other factors as well. But yeah, that's what I see a lot in the Detroit area, is that when people don't have jobs, then they start doing other stuff to get money.
Exactly.
And that leads to crime, whether it's they join a gang and start being a drug dealer, and then they got to shoot the other drug dealer because he's taking their clients, or whatever, just because they're the other group, all that kind of crap. So yeah, it just, I don't know, it just really bugged me that they just get away with saying completely inaccurate things, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, crime's happening more often. And that's maybe that Marblemouth was talking about, like the mass shootings going up or whatever. But when you start digging into those actual numbers, the way that they define it and what it actually is, like they're trying to say, you see these articles every once in a while, there's been 300 and some mass shootings so far this year or whatever, like some crap. Like there's a mass shooting a day. It's like, when people hear that, they think of like one of these big, you know, what the media focuses on, like these mass killing of like one person going into an area, almost like 95% gun-free zones, and just shooting as many people as possible. That's what they think of. But then when you look at the definition, it turns out that it's like, if two people are shot at, they call it a mass shooting or whatever. And most of those are gang-related things because you got 3 or 4 people standing around, and then the guy comes up and tries to shoot them all. And then sometimes they shoot back and whatever. Like they take that and then they make it sound like there's these like school killings all the time. And it is just not true. It is factually not true. And I don't know. I mean, if you look at from my memory, I mean, people have been doing crazy stuff for a long time. I know that still one of the biggest like school killing of kids. It happened in like 1923, 24, something like that. It happened in Bath, Michigan. That'll give you enough info. You should be able to find it. It was like a disgruntled janitor who set the place on fire and locked the front doors. And it ended up killing whatever, like 30 kids or whatever. I forget the number exactly. But that was like the worst killing in the school in the history. And it had nothing to do with guns. Absolutely nothing. So there have been crazy people doing bad stuff. But the biggest one in my memory was the Columbine thing. And that happened right in the middle of the assault weapons ban. So if the thing really worked, then that should never have even happened. And then since then, there's been, I don't know, maybe one a year or something. Like and there's different motivations and different stuff going on. I personally blame the media for some of it because of the copycat type things. And that's, I don't want to ever give people the credit. So I'll never say their name. I'm proud to know that I don't know what most of them look like. I don't know most of their names. So it's not even just that I'm not saying it. I've been able to avoid even like hearing it. And I like that.
Yeah, it bothers me when I know what the dude looks like and his name and all that crap, but yet I don't know what a single one of the victims looks like or a single one of the victims' names. That bugs me.
Yeah, or you never tend to know the heroes, and that's God, I'm falling for this too. But Williford, what the heck was his name? But that was the one that he was a neighbor down in Texas, heard gunfire.
Oh yeah,
grabbed his AR-15 from his safe, ran outside, and started shooting at the bad guy. It's like in that same story, you had bad guy using a gun to shoot people, good guy using a gun to shoot bad guy. And then he jumped in this truck of a random person and was like, go get that guy. Because the bad guy started escaping. And so could you imagine that? Like you're just driving your truck down the street or whatever, and then like some dude with an AR jumps in and is like, go get that guy. He just killed people. He's a bad guy. And that truck driver put himself in harm's way, and so did Wilford. And they are both heroes. You know what I mean? Like they prevented more loss of life.
And I know a guy. I got into an argument with a guy. He says that no, he didn't save anybody's life. The people that were going to die were already dead. And I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, all he did was take another life with that AR-15. I was like, the dude was a psycho. You don't think he would have hurt anybody else wherever else he may have been going? Like you think like, oh, I'm done. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that as well because like I guess the dude was already outside the church by the time the good guy showed up or whatever. But from what I've heard, he targeted that because that was his mother-in-law went to that church or something, and that family like wasn't there. So like when he left, yeah, don't you think maybe it's because he was going to go look for that mother-in-law or something?
Right. I mean, when and I'm just assuming because I've never had these thoughts myself, but I'm just trying to put myself into that kind of a position. If I'm going to go, if I have made the decision, I am going to walk into a place and shoot the place up. I'm not planning on going home. I'm not planning on just, well, that was it. That was my day. I'm going to bed now. He's going to finish what he started. He's gonna do what he's gonna do.
Right. And that's the
Wasn't
thing. Yeah, and it's been shown time and time again. They keep going until they get met with resistance. And most of the time that resistance is police officers, but sometimes it's good guys. And that's the other one, right? When they say, "Oh, no one's ever stopped a mass shooting," it's like, yeah, that they have, and the reason you think that is because, like, they like the one in, was it Maryland, where the like two people ended up getting hit, and then the armed like resource officer got the bad guy. Like that's So people be like, well, that's not a mass shooting because it didn't kill 30 people or whatever. Well, yeah, because he stopped it before he could do that. Like that's the exact definition of stopping one of those. And there's many, many other examples of it. There is an excellent article by Masad Ayub. I read it in Handgunner magazine. I don't remember. It was probably from a couple of years ago. You might be able to find online and stuff. But basically, Masad Ayub went out and found a bunch of news articles of basically people that were stopped by good guys with the guns. And a lot of the ones he found were actually like CCW people. So not even cops, just regular people who happened to be carrying. And when you start looking at the facts, it's like, okay, he got one or two people, then the bad guy got shot. And then when they look into it, the bad guy had like a whole bunch more ammo, or had like, a manifesto that was talking about how he's going to save the world by killing a bunch of people, or, whatever, crazy people stuff. And it's like all of those things could have been like a huge, massive killing, but it wasn't because of someone who was a CCW holder. So when they say they've never stopped anyone, it's like, that also is just completely false. It's just not true. But yeah, I love Masadi. He does great articles.
I haven't read much of his stuff.
Yeah, I have to look into it because I don't think I've gotten Handgunner magazine in a while. And I thought I was supposed to still have a subscription to that. It's one of those, I got the subscription as a gift. Like my mom bought me a year of it. And that was a couple years ago. And then it was for Christmas. The following Christmas, I was like, "Hey, did you happen to like renew that?" Or she said that she renewed it for me or something. And then like I got a couple more magazines, but then I think they've stopped. Like I don't think I've gotten any so far this year. And part of it's hard when I travel so much that like, I get my mail and it's like whatever, a month's worth of mail. I just grab it and sort through it real quick and toss it to the side. So it might be that I have gotten them and I set them down somewhere and I don't know where they are or whatever. But thinking back, I'm pretty sure I haven't got any. So I need to check into that, and either she didn't renew it or she did and they're not sending it to me, in which case then, she needs to get her money back for that. But that's one of those magazines I recommend people get. I really like that one. And a lot of it's just whatever, they're playing with new guns or talking about ammo or doing whatever. It's your normal gun magazine where it's mostly an ad when you're reading the stuff, but I've learned a lot of cool stuff. There's been a lot of cool things. And like I said, Masad Ayub is a featured column in that magazine. And he's always talking about different like, CCW things or whatever. There's a lot of them. There's one also too. It really stuck with me. I really enjoyed it. And he basically was saying this, like the myth that, the reason they want smaller magazines is because, well, if someone was like, doing something bad and they had to change magazines more often, that would give like opportunity for someone to like jump them and stop them. And, he debunks that first by saying like, yeah, someone who even takes like, I don't know, a little bit of practice can change a mag out in a second or whatever. So it's like, if you're close enough to him that within that second you could jump him, like you're close enough to him that you could jump him, like even while he's still shooting. But he always backs the stuff up with like actual events that have happened. Instead of speculating what if, what could, he backs up with what has happened. And on some of them, it was shown that, that exact thing, someone tried to do, and then the person ended up getting shot because the person, finished the mag change and then started shooting the guy that was charging them. Other examples were people stopping them while they still had rounds in the magazine, which means that they jumped the bad guy, like not during a mag change. Like they were able to get, like, look at the Waffle House thing. That guy jumped the bad guy while the bad guy was still shooting. He ended up getting hit on his arm or something. Like but he was able to stop it. So it's like you didn't need to sit around and wait. Okay, let me wait for another 20 rounds and then I'll jump him. Oh, if only he only had 10 rounds, I could jump him faster. Like he didn't have to do that. He was able to stop him without waiting for a mag change. And then he also referenced a couple times where people, like, they claim that the person was stopped during a mag change, but then when you look at it, it was actually they got stopped during a malfunction of the gun. There was one of them where the guy had a drum mag and it got jammed up or something. So he did get jumped and stopped, but that's because like his gun was jammed. Like there were still plenty of bullets left in the magazine. So it had nothing to do with a mag change or anything like that.
Right.
And like I said, there were a couple like that where they claimed like, oh, look, this was a bad guy who was stopped because a good guy jumped him. But then in all of those cases, there were still rounds in the magazine at the time, which tells you that you don't need to wait for this mythical like mag change moment. That's in the movies where you see like bang, 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 okay, changing mags, and then something happens while the guy is trying to change a
Hurry up,
mag.
jump
Like
him.
that's
Yeah. Have you heard of John James? He's running for U.S. Senate. It's a Michigan guy.
John James. I don't believe so.
Conservative, combat veteran, very pro-gun.
I like pro gun people.
Yeah, he's running for U.S. Senate. Seems like a nice guy. I met him. I don't know right now, but I think like a week and a half ago, he was going around with Rob O'Neill, the guy that wrote a book about. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. He wrote a book about nabbing Bin Laden. They were at my local range about a week and a half ago. I didn't even know they were doing like a thing there. I just knew there was a bunch of people walking around in suits while I was getting ready to go shoot. I was like, what is going on here? And they're like, oh, you can't use the rifle range today, only the pistol range. And then they're like, because a guy running for Senate is here. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. So I went and sat down and listened to his whole spiel and stuff like that.
That's
Seems
cool.
like a cool guy.
I will look into him further because I like that he's pro gun, but I like to know a little bit more about other stuff before I vote for people. But
Right, yeah.
so if he passes the smell test, like he's
That's all I'm saying. Just check him out. His name's John James.
It's one thing to say you're pro-gun. It's another thing to do a get-together with your constituents or your potential constituents at a gun range.
Yeah, and there was no because it was in a closed room, but anybody was welcome. You just had to like fill out a paper or whatever with your like address and stuff. I'm sure so they can bombard your mailbox with crap, But
bombardment.
They were totally cool. Like I had my range bag with me, like I had my rifle case. They were like, yeah, come on in, So they weren't even like scared about letting people in the room with them with, guns. Like they did not care.
Did you tell them about the daily mass killings?
The what?
But did you let them know that there's daily mass killings? That you prepare for that stuff?
I'm sure he's looked into that.
Yeah, that's like speaking of politicians we like, that Colbeck guy is running for Michigan governor. He spoke at the 2A rally, and I really liked what he had to say. So, and I know he's a state level, is he a state level senator or representative right now? I forget. I know he's my dude, whichever one he is. I know he's in like my district. But yeah, but again, he's very pro gun, but the other stuff I like about him too. Kind of conservative minded with financial stuff and almost libertarianish in a way, because there's other stuff that he's like, yeah, I don't really care about that much. Like, whatever, let people do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's good.
So hopefully, if he becomes Michigan governor and we pass a couple other things, they'll actually sign it. I know we've been trying to get constitutional carry for a while, and a couple like that's one of the things. So Rick Snyder, like he's been kind of good on guns. Like we have gotten a lot of freedoms back, but then other times he's not been pro gun.
I think he's too easily swayed.
Yeah, like I'm happy that the purchase permit has gone away. I'm happy that
for
air guns and black rifle guns are no longer considered firearms. I'm trying to remember what else he's done.
It went away
a couple other things that have been like pro gun. Like, okay, cool, this is neat.
Went away for CPO holders only. Anybody else has still got to have a purchase permit. I mean, not if you're buying from an FFL, but like private sale, you still got to have one. Which is ridiculous. What? For private sale of handguns, you still got to have a purchase permit.
Unless you have a CPL.
Right.
Okay. But then if you're buying from an FFL, you don't need a purchase permit?
Nope, because they fill out when they do the NICS check, they basically like print one.
Well, I know you still have the registration, which I really want to get rid of. Oh, I want to get rid of that thing so bad.
Yeah, you got to go pick up a purchase permit before you can buy a handgun private sale. You got to pick it up from a police station. It's basically just an RI-60, except you got to get the background check first. It's a yellow card instead of a white piece of paper.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I did not know that. I thought when they got rid of purchase permits, like they got rid of them.
Nope, they kind of just rolled it into the registration. So like you have a CPL, you buy a gun, you fill out an RI-60 and turn it in. With this,
yeah, I remember seeing a thing. They're like, just print up this PDF and fill the thing out. Like you're good to go.
Yeah, that's for CPL holders. Anybody who's not a CPL holder still has to go to their local PD and give them their ID. They run a background check and bring out basically the RI-60, except it's a purchase permit, and there's 3 sections. You fill out all 3 sections. One of them you turn back into the police station. One of them the seller keeps, and one of them the buyer keeps.
RI-60. Okay.
The RI-60 is for CPL holders. It's the registration paper thing.
Right.
But the purchase permit is for everybody else.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So, I mean, the vast majority of people end up just like either they have a CPL, or if they don't, they like are buying from a gun store anyways. So
right.
You still have, like I said, I guess I've been explaining it wrong this whole time. I thought that purchase permits just plain didn't exist, but they technically still exist for private party handgun purchase if you don't have a CPL.
Exactly.
Which is probably a pretty small minority of people that falls under.
It was me until 2014.
It's just 15? 4 people.
15 maybe? No.
Just the 4 people are people that aren't involved in the
Yeah. Yep.
So do you still end up having to wait to get the thing then? Because
Uh,
I got a purchase permit back right before what I thought was them getting rid of it. And I was buying from a gun store, but I still had to go in and get the permit first. And it took 3 days for them to give it back to me.
I think it depends on your police department. My dad, he doesn't have a CPL, or didn't a few years ago. He's since got one, but he had to go get one. And they made him wait 3 days. But when I was getting them, they never made me wait more than 10 minutes. They'd be like, "Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes," and then they'd come back with it. So I think it just depends on your police department.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I know that's how it used to be. It depended on the police department. But
maybe you weren't mad. Like if you're not angry, they don't make you wait.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
They like purposely make you. They just they purposely like make you do something like a triplicate or something, and they're like, "What up? We needed that like the next one." So they get you on the grass and you start getting upset. Okay, so
they show you a Young Turks video, and if you don't overreact, then you get it right away.
Yeah, they're like, "What do you think of this video?" You're like, whatever." They're like, "Okay."
They're watching for the veins to pop out of your neck.
But if you're like, "What the? But no, what?"
And Michigan's kind of a weird state. We're pro-gun in a lot of ways, and we're anti-gun in a lot of ways. But we've come a long way from where we were 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah, I've always described it. We're like in the middle. And that's the last time I looked at a list that was ranking all 50 states. It was in the same year, and it was from two different sources. So the one of them was described as like, like best gun laws, but it was from Bloomberg. So like New York and California and all them were like number 1, 2, 3. And so you wanted to be like 50th on that list. We were like 27th. And then the other one was like best gun rights. So you wanted to be number 1, like Arizona and Vermont and all them were like number 1 and 2 and whatnot. And New York, California were like 50 and 49. And Michigan was like 25 or 26. So it's like both times we were right in the middle of the list from two different perspectives, where on one list you want to be number 1 and on the other list you want to be number 50. And we were in the mid-20s on both of them.
Yeah. The main ones I hate
registration really kills us. If we could get rid of that, we would jump it up into like the teens, I think.
That and what we classify as a pistol versus a rifle. Because that really limits like your AR pistol options and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was another one I didn't realize, because we have a hard definition of a handgun, and it's less than a certain length or whatever.
Less than 26 inches is a handgun. More than that is a rifle. So if you have a rifle that is, by definition, it's a rifle because it's over 26 inches long, and you have a barrel that's less than 16 inches long, you have an SBR, and you can't have it without the proper paperwork, even though federally it's not an SBR, so they wouldn't even let you put in the tax stamp for it. So in Michigan, you're just kind of boned.
Well, I think you said that wrong. She said something about a rifle, but you said less than 16 inches, which wouldn't be a rifle.
Right, but I'm saying... I just
think you misspoke. You're talking, if you're building an AR handgun, so you have less than 16-inch barrel, but the overall length is more than 26. Michigan says it's a rifle, ATF says is a handgun.
Right. Exactly.
So you either
Except
have
you
like
got to take out Smeggies part about over 26. That's basically part of any definition. And it sounds like that's the qualifier. So when Smeggie said minus 26.
man, you're pretty quiet, you Ubs. I didn't quite hear what you said. I heard you say something about 26.
If I hold this up, is that any better?
Yeah, that sounds better.
So I was just saying, I think what you just said, except remove the part about 26 inches, because there's nothing in federal about the definition of a pistol that has anything to do with with anything with size. So I think what you're saying is accurate, except don't talk about the 26 inches part.
Well, in Michigan, that's what defines a pistol versus a rifle. In Michigan, a pistol is less than 26 inches.
That's what I mean.
Rifle
So
is more.
Smeggie said over 26. You should have left that out.
Oh yeah.
So if you got an AR pistol, doesn't matter what size barrel. If you got an AR pistol and it's under 26 inches, because who cares? Because it's a pistol. Michigan cares. It needs to be 26 inches long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be less than 26. So I stand by what I said. If you buy a handgun, like you buy an AR handgun, and it's longer than 26 inches, Michigan says that it's a rifle, not a handgun.
Right.
And the federal government would say it's
okay.
a
Now I
pistol.
see what you're saying.
Yes, because it doesn't have a buttstock, so it is a pistol, and it's got a 14-inch barrel or something, so it is a pistol. From the federal's point of view, Michigan says no, that's a rifle, and you're like, but it's not. It doesn't have a buttstock on it, and blah blah blah, whatever. Like it's not a rifle.
And also on the other end of that, if you buy a rifle that has a 16-inch barrel, but let's say it has like a folding stock or something, if it's less than 26 inches, you have to register it as a pistol.
Well, if you had a rifle less than 26 inches, it's an SBR.
No, I have an AK with a triangle side folder, a 16-inch barrel, and if you take the threaded muzzle device off of it, it's like 25.5 inches.
That should be 27.
25.5 with the stock folded.
But isn't when you go to get length, isn't it in the longest configuration?
I think it's the shortest. That's the way the guy at the gun shop explained it to me.
Well, maybe in Michigan, but federal is the longest.
Yeah, federal's longest. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I hadn't thought of that one. I don't have anything that's borderline one way or the other. Like it's the rifles I have are just definitely rifles. They're long and they have butt stocks and they have 16-inch barrels. We're good to go. And the handguns I have are,
just regular handguns.
Short barrels, no stocks, and definitely less than 26. Like they're just definitely handguns. So,
but the plus side to that is I can, since my AK is registered as a pistol, I can carry it loaded in the car if I chose to, because it's a pistol and I
right.
CPL.
That is pretty cool. That was honestly one of the reasons I was gonna look into getting like an AK pistol or an AR pistol, was to basically have a truck gun type of thing. Because unfortunately, like in Michigan, I guess this is another kind of anti-gun thing, is we are very strict on the transportation of firearms. And from everything I've heard, it's completely surrounded around poaching. They are super worried that you're going to drive down the road, see a deer in a field or whatever, jump out, your gun's already loaded, so you just grab it and shoot the deer, toss it in the back of the truck, drive away. Like that's what they really don't want to happen. So they're very strict with loaded firearms in a gun. You cannot have a rifle rack that has a loaded rifle in it. Actually, you can't really have a rifle rack now that I even say that, because in the qualifications for transportation, it has to be in a what would you call it? Like
a case that is designed to hold a firearm. So like you can like put it in like one of those gun socks and throw it in your trunk. That's fine. It's got to be in something that is designed to hold a firearm.
Right.
Ammunition. It has to be unloaded in rifle and in magazine. So there's like, I don't know, there's people that think like you can't have loaded mags, and then there's people that argue that you can have them loaded, but they have to be in a separate case.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's.
I'd rather just not take the chance, and I'm not going to argue semantics with a police officer or a judge. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal to load them at the range to me. I mean, granted, I'd rather keep them loaded, but, you know.
I'm going to say, I guess the way I read it, it makes it sound like, when you define a firearm unloaded in, chamber and magazine or whatever, they're talking about the magazine that's in the gun at the time. So I guess I interpret it as you can have loaded mags like in an ammo bag or something, and that's all zipped up, and then you have your rifle in a case and that's all zipped up.
Yeah. That's what most people, I've heard people argue it the other way too. And for me, it's just not something I care about enough to take the chance, Maybe I'm paranoid, but that's fine. Because I mean, I've got my carry gun. That's loaded.
Or something. Then yeah, I don't really worry about it. But at the same time, most of my AR and AK mags, I have them loaded at the house. So why not just grab a couple of them, toss them in the bag, and then I don't even really need to bring boxes of ammo. Like if I'm just shooting it a little bit, I'll just bring enough mags, shoot them all, and then go home.
Yeah.
So that's just, I look at it as it's an easier way of like bringing, or even like less boxes of ammo. If I bring 3 or 4 loaded mags and then a couple boxes of ammo, like I'm good for the afternoon. I'll shoot through those mags and then reload them with the boxes, and then we go home.
If I'm bringing my AR pistol or my AK, that is technically in Michigan a pistol. Obviously, I'll just grab some loaded mags because those are pistols anyway. But
yeah, you could load the thing up, chamber it and everything, and be good, ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Because you have the CPL.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're a good middle ground. One of the things I was happy about was after the most recent push for all these gun control laws that many states have done, Michigan didn't introduce any of that crap. We're not trying to raise the age to 21. We're not trying to ban bump stocks. We're not trying to. Well, I guess the take guns now due process maybe someday later if we feel like it. But that was already in the works from before. That was something that one of the guys at the 2A rally spoke about.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing here. I didn't hear about that.
It's been for a while. It was the guy from Lade was talking about it. Do you remember that?
Rick Ector.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He shot me. He taught my sister how to shoot. He did a free class.
I was going to say, you started that sentence with "he shot me," and that's probably not the best in the world.
I was talking faster than I was thinking. He taught my sister how to shoot.
And then she shot you.
He was at a local range doing a free thing for women, so that was cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. He seems like a good guy, and that's I mentioned Lade for the people in the audience. That's legally armed in Detroit. That's what it stands for. But he's a marketing guy. He goes, I want everyone to get laid, and everyone's like, yay, woohoo, like all cheering and stuff. And that's he knows what he's doing, but that's just a funny little thing.
Yeah.
But again, that one, that hasn't really, like I said, they've been trying it for a while in Michigan, and it hasn't gotten anywhere. In fact, I'm thinking it's possible the one he was talking about at the rally, it's not even introduced, just someone was asking him about it like while they were writing it. So I don't even think it's like on the schedule or anything. Like it doesn't even exist yet, but it's something that the anti-gun people are looking to do. And I know he had mentioned like he told the people like these are all the things I think are wrong with it, and it's he said they were like, oh, I didn't even like think of that. So at least it seems like maybe they're like open to info. I mean, the fact they were asking him in the first place means that they're not like the super Bloomberg types. Like they're legitimately like, we're trying to help, and then he's like, yeah, you're not really helping. They're like, oh, we aren't? Okay. Like maybe they are open to new knowledge, which that is intellectually honest. That's a good thing.
I just saw this. House lawmakers formally nominate Trump for 2019 Nobel Peace Prize for the North Korea and South Korea playing nice.
Yep. I don't know if this is one of those he's just jumping on credit because he wants to type of thing, or if it's actually stuff that he did. But hey, if North and South Korea are playing nice, that probably makes us a little bit safer. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Whose ever fault it is, or whose ever fault's probably the wrong word because that normally implies negativeness. But
yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to be like, look, I'm bigger than you. You need to just chill.
Yeah, I honestly I think part of this was the dude who's in power now. He has never been as out there as his dad was. So like I think that was really the catalyst for change to begin with. Even though his rhetoric was like, oh, I'm going to test all these missiles and blah blah blah, like he ramped it up a little bit, and Trump's like, yeah, no, you're not, and then he's like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not. But I truly think that he's not as bad as his dad was. So I think that's really where a lot of the catalyst for change came from. Was once he took power.
I don't agree. I think that whatever influence Trump had, if it would have been somebody else, let's say Sanders, let's say Hillary, let's say one of the other non-wild cards, then this guy could have emboldened himself. He could have had 4 or maybe 8 years worth of blundering and bustering and shooting missiles all around and just being a bully and having somebody ineffectual who, as a president of the superpower that keeps the world quiet and peaceful, a superpower that doesn't invade and take claim. So if somebody were to hold the reins and be ineffectual, be a blunderer, I think that could have. But I don't think this was inevitable. In other words, I don't think this was bound to happen, and whoever was in the seat, it would have happened anyway. I think, like I say, it could have just as easily been this guy could have spent the next 4 years becoming his dad.
It's possible. I mean, it's
Yeah, sometimes, like I said, sometimes somebody just needs to be like, look, I'm bigger than you. You need to chill. Like, if you really want to whip it out and have a contest, we can do this.
yeah, and that's the thing. So that was something that I was gonna kind of give Trump credit for, was the whole, if you would have looked at the same situation like last year or whatever around the same time when he was doing a bunch of tests or whatever, like it was because Trump was egging him on. He did ramp up a bunch of his missile tests. I mean, they had quite a few right in a row there, and they claimed, hey, we're gonna hit your what was that, one of our territories or something over there, like that's he got them all riled up, and then because we didn't back down, he realized like, oh, this isn't gonna work. Whereas maybe if, like you said, if Hillary was in office, she might not have egged him on as much, but then he wouldn't have done like a bunch of missile tests all right in a row, therefore realizing we're not going to back down, and then deciding to change his mind. Like he might have just kept doing, one missile test a year and just pretending to be like, yeah, I'm cool, and we all just ignore him, and then he just, stays the same way. So I'll give Trump some credit for that, and also he, strengthened sanctions and stuff even more. Which in a country like that, when they're already hurting pretty bad, sanctions can work. Sometimes I think with other countries, sanctions don't really do much, but it just depends on a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'll give him some credit. I'm not 100% convinced it's all. He's I don't give him 100% credit no matter what, but he could have definitely played a part in it. The fact that the South Korean president was the one that's like Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize says that at least South Korea is giving him credit, and that guy is intimate, knows what's going on in that area. So, maybe he is worthy of credit. But either way,
watching tonight. How many people are watching tonight?
We have 9 viewers right now. Duran's out there. Sean Green's out there. Zeus was in there earlier. Roosted. And Gary Gizzard's doing a chat right now too. So I think we kind of split our audience here. Yeah.
Oh, doing the Ellis crew.
Let's see. Yeah, it's Ellis, Gunpowder, Gary. I forget who's got that lion thing or whatever. Alan B Pro, and someone else, that Black Cat or something.
She gets like a free pass.
I haven't memorized all of their little icons, so there's a couple people in there that I've seen before. I don't remember who they are. But yeah, they got a handful of people, so that's cool. So, but if anyone out here is watching and wants to jump in the cave, oh, Dano's here too. Cool. Send me a message over on Gun Channels. I'll send you a link.
Well, what were you talking about earlier? There's a Discord now?
Yeah, we started a Discord.
Yep, that's a true statement. So there is a Discord for Gun Channels, and then it's got a couple of little like rooms or whatever in there, a couple of text ones and a couple of voice ones. So I'm still playing around with the software.
I've got the Discord app on my phone. I just downloaded it not that long ago. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still just playing around with it. Angelina definitely has the hang of posting weird memes on there. So she was in Discord earlier. Where the heck is she on Gun Channels? Send her a link. But yeah, I found Hosh's ham radio one. I was hanging out in there earlier today. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've checked out the primary and secondary Discord, and another one that I follow that's not gun related.
Yeah, a bunch of nerds. Nerds.
Who, me? Yeah.
No, these ham people.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not on that level.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, a server that's got, I don't know, however many gazillion people that have joined it. You know what I mean? Like it's like to see how he has it set up with the different things and to see like the possibilities of it. And then, you know, you can jump over to gun channels and see, okay, yeah, this thing could be pretty darn cool. Get a bunch of people in here. My fucking nemesis is back in the chat. Talking about the cave is moist. It is not. It is an ice cave. It is very dry, cold.
Who's your nemesis?
Well, just the idea that the cave is moist. I hate that stereotype. I tell people all the time, picture the cave from Star Wars where the Yeti creature thing kidnaps Luke. There you go. Bunch of ice stalactites and crap. It's not melty. I'll give it to you that it's cold, but I'm a snowman, so that's just how I roll. So yeah, today was Every Second Matters. I hope everyone got a chance to check out my legislative update. It's about a half hour long, not too bad. It was, I'd say, a medium amount of stuff happened this month. Some good, some bad. The really interesting one was the Illinois gun dealer license that got vetoed last month. So basically what that would have done was create a new level of, you know, what do you call it, like restrictions and like bureaucracy for gun and ammo dealers in the state of Illinois. They already have their federal level stuff. This would have been a state level one. And it got vetoed. And this month, the same people are trying to like amend something else that would basically add it all right back in. So it's a good lesson in no matter what happens, they're gonna keep pushing, they're gonna keep fighting us. So we have to be ever vigilant. Like the thing just got vetoed a month ago, and they decided, you know what, that thing you vetoed, we're gonna ask you about it again. Like what? The dude already vetoed it. Like so, I'm just worried they're amending it to like, you know, save puppies or whatever, right? It's like they tacked it onto something that's kind of good, trying to get it to sneak through. No, thanks, Grand. He said he liked my video. It's always good, you know, it's always good to get that encouragement. So I do appreciate you guys that have given me thumbs and given me comments saying thanks because you know, it lets me know that what the efforts that I'm doing are worthwhile. So I really appreciate that. And you know, keep that in mind with some of the other stuff you watch. If you see someone else that did a video that, you know, you watch them all the time, but you never really comment that much or thumb it up or whatever, you know, think about taking the time to leave them a comment. Let them know, hey, you know, thanks for the info. That was cool. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, I'm not a huge content creator at all. And that type of stuff really reminds me, like, I got to make sure I keep doing this because people like it. So it is very encouraging.
Heck yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the other highlights from the thing. Someone's on their way to getting constitutional carry, which was Oklahoma. I believe it's Oklahoma. It's constitutional carry past the like one half and is going over to the other half or something. So that might be on its way to the governor pretty soon. I think that's the one where it passed the House, it went over to the Senate, it passed the Senate, and now it's like it's back in the House for what are the like reconciliation or whatever. So maybe they changed it a little bit, so now it's got to go back to the other one. But it already passed that side like one time, so it's probably going to go through again, and so it's really on the short list on the way up to the governor. So that should be pretty cool. And what else is going on? Hawaii's pretty much screwed as far as their multi-burst trigger activator. Because I think that's on the way to the governor's desk right now. So it already passed all the stuff and just waiting to either be signed or vetoed. Which, knowing Hawaii, it will probably get signed.
Multi-burst
Trigger activator. Which basically means, bump stocks and binary triggers. But I'm pretty sure Hawaii is one of the ones that's like super vague in their description. And that's, those gray areas are always troublesome. Because they certainly could go after people for all sorts of little things. Now, if you mention that to an anti-gunner, they go, "Oh, you're paranoid. We're not gonna enforce that." Blah blah blah. It's like, well, if you're not gonna enforce that half of it, how about you write it in a way that is clearly well defined? They're like, well, we like being vague because we might want to enforce it, 5 years from now. I remember that with New Jersey's thing with the micro stamping, where it's as soon as a gun with not micro stamping,
the
smart gun.
Yeah, with the little wristwatch thing.
Yeah, or any of those things, a fingerprint or a watch or a keypad on the slide. I mean, whatever. You got to type in a code or something. Any of those types of things. As soon as one of those is sold in New Jersey, or not, if it's sold anywhere, then in New Jersey, those are the only types of guns that are available for sale. And when there was a big blowout, there's a store in California that wanted to sell one of the Ubinex or something. It was a little 22 with the watch. It was that one, which was kind of crappy and whatever. The store was getting ready to sell it, and a bunch of people overreacted, which I don't agree with. A bunch of people sent the dude death threats or something. Like, come on, we're freaking Second Amendment people. Don't stoop to that level and be dumb.
Don't take the law-abiding part out of law-abiding citizen.
Yeah. Do I think any of those are credible? No. I think a lot of people say stupid stuff when they can just type it on a computer. You know what I mean? That's like when you read YouTube comments. I don't think that those people are actually going to come and kill my family or something. But you never know. So, anyways, that's just a side note. So, anyways, when that all was going down, they were like, "Listen, the normal people that responded were like, the only reason we're against this is because you're screwing over New Jersey by doing something in California. Please don't do this." And so New Jersey came out and was like, "Oh, we're not going to enforce that law." That's what they said. They were like, "Oh, we're not. Don't worry about it. We're not going to enforce it." And it's like, okay, if you're not going to enforce it, then repeal it. Well, I mean, we don't really want to do that. Well, so then what are you saying then? What the hell? Obviously, you want to leave it on the books because you might enforce it later down the line. So never trust them if they're just like, "Oh, that part, don't worry about that part. We're not going to do that." It's like, if you're not going to do it, then take it off the books. But anyways, they tried to I don't know what they had to do. They negotiated with the NRA, which it's like, the NRA's got nothing to do with, regular people who think for themselves that are writing this gun store saying, "Please don't sell this. You're screwing over New Jersey." But they basically were like, "Listen, we'll repeal the law if you promise to basically not talk trash about smart guns." And the NRA is like, "No, we think they're dumb. Anyone who trusts their life to this type of technology, which is, historically been kind of, unreliable, we're going to just mention that, hey, this is probably not the best idea to use if this is what you're using for self-defense because it's unreliable." And I believe the way it stands now, New Jersey, if they either repealed that law or they changed it, but I think they repealed it and then passed a new one. But I'm not. However it worked. Basically, the way it stands now, once a smart gun sold anywhere, that part's still in existence. This law kicks in New Jersey, which it does not mandate all guns be smart guns, but it does mandate if you sell guns, you have to have a smart gun option, which I think is just completely ridiculous that you are forcing gun stores to have a certain amount of inventory of a certain product. And if I were a gun store, I guess, okay, I'd bite the bullet. I'd buy one of those things and then put it on the shelf for $2 million. So it's like, that way I never have to rebuy one. No one's ever going to get it. And I'll be like, well, I am offering it for sale.
Right.
You can't tell me what my business practice is or whatever. Like, you can't tell me how much my margin has to be. Because I don't think the law says it has to be available at, suggested retail price. I think you can do whatever you want with it, but you do have to have one of them on your shelf, or at least one. Yeah, Sean's got a good point about Vermont. What happened in Vermont? They went from no gun laws to a whole bunch. Yeah. I mentioned that in my legislative update. It passed near the end of last month, or I talked about it in April's legislative update. So it passed near the end of March, but it just got signed at the end of April. And that was raising the age to 21, banning magazines with more than 10 rounds for rifles, and 15 rounds for handguns. I thought that was a weird caveat, but it is what it is. My handgun would still not be allowed to have its magazines. I have more than 15 rounds in a mag. Actually, both handguns that I own have more than 15 rounds. And what else did they do? I forget.
I've got some with less than 15, but most of them 15 or more.
Guran's got a good point. Your gun has an error. Please reboot. This action will take approximately 5 minutes. Oh, yeah. And that's, with the fingerprint one, I've heard people say, like, okay, you got the fingerprint thing. And people are like, oh, so you think smart guns are like you think that's reliable? You think the technology is good? How many times you have to swipe your finger to log into your computer? Like, 80% of the time it works the first swipe. Another 10% maybe on the second. And you have a following 10% where you're sitting there for freaking 5 minutes swiping your finger because you got Cheeto dust all over it or whatever.
I've got a really dirty job. My hands get really greasy and dirty. And we have a kiosk thing where you pick out whatever you want from the fridge or whatever for like lunch or drinks or snacks or whatever. Scan it and then use your thumb it's like tied to your account to pay for it. And it's like the thumbprint scanner never works ever unless you like just spent like 10 minutes scrubbing your hands. So you got to use there's like a card that goes with your account too. You can swipe.
I want my guns analog only. Sean was saying, I completely agree. But yeah, I mean I don't have like a phone that has a fingerprint thing or whatever, but I know like people who do, where you just like put your thumb on the thing to unlock your phone, and yeah, it's like it happens so often. People are just used to like, bloop, oh, it didn't work, bloop, didn't work, oh, bloop, oh, it worked. Like they don't even think about like, oh, that thing just failed 2 times and then it finally worked. And you're going to rely on that, like when you have, a second to save your life. Like, no, I don't think so.
Right.
Now, I think Yankees talked about it before. From a point of view of should they exist?
And that's with 100% focus.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
When you're doing your
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, you add in some stress, like, even using the phone. Try doing that same thing to unlock your phone while you're trying to get it open to call 911. Like, because something bad has happened, like a car accident or something. Like, add just a little bit of stress and try and use your phone. It's going to be hard to do.
They picked the number 917-532-7543 for emergencies because we have that much time.
I just call 1-900-MIX-A-LOT. Incoming Dano. So, yeah, I don't know. It just, anyways, what I was talking about. So, I think Yankee in the past has talked about smart guns, and I think I kind of agree with him where he's like, okay, if you want to make one, okay, maybe it's kind of cool, and I would never use it as a carry gun or a home defense gun, but even I have guns in my house that I guess I could use it for self-defense if I absolutely had to, but they're going to be third or fourth on the list that what I'm going to reach for. I got my other stuff set up as being the first line of defense type of thing. So, with that aspect, if you want a smart gun, then sure, knock yourself out. Go get one. I don't care. But I don't like the laws saying that they have to be sold or even they have to be offered. That is way too much government telling a company or a business how to do its job. And I just personally don't like that. I wonder what phone number that is. Sean calls G19 150 GR HST JHP.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like too many numbers.
Oh, there's a lot of numbers that are too many. 1-800 this business or that business. It'll still work.
Good evening, fellows.
What's up,
but then
Dana?
by the time the people are saying hello, the person on the other end is still going beep boop bloop bloop beep boop boop bloop. It's like, dude, it already worked. Hang on, I gotta finish typing in the thing.
Right.
Hey, how's it going, Dano?
Oh, pretty good. I got a question for you. Since you've been doing some of the updates, anything new off the top of your head anyway in regards to Missouri?
Missouri. I don't think there was anything this month for Missouri.
Is there one of the kind of general Midwest states that generally very gun friendly? But a lot of states are, turning from that one color to a purple or from one to another, and I was just curious about it.
Yeah, I know they got constitutional carry a couple years ago or last year. I know that one, it got vetoed, and then they had enough people to override the governor's veto. So it went all through the process. He vetoed it. They came back, and then they passed it again with 90% approval or something like that. Whatever it was to override the veto.
Let me ask kind of a general question. When states go to constitutional carry, and that can mean, I understand different things in different states, but does that usually mean open and concealed, or just concealed, or what?
What?
Constitutional carry.
It's normally related to concealed carry. But you're right, different states are different. I was kind of surprised. I didn't realize there are some states where, like, to open carry, you have to have a concealed carry license, which is kind of counterintuitive because in Michigan, open carry's always just been anyone can do it. Like, you don't need a permit for it. You only need the permit to conceal. And so for me, concealed carry means you finally don't need that permit anymore to conceal carry. But yeah, there were some states that you needed something for both, and then once it turned constitutional, it was open or concealed.
Michigan's kind of a trap though when it comes to open carry without a permit.
Well, because your car is considered concealed.
Right. You can't transport a firearm with the sole purpose of open carry. Like you can't transport it in your vehicle somewhere just to take it out and open carry it there. You have to like walk wherever you're going from your home.
Well, that's why you just have a concealed carry permit. Then you can do that.
Well, right.
Because then you're just, it's on your hip, open view. As soon as you sit down in your car, it's now considered concealed, but you have a permit to do that, so you're fine. And then when you get out, you walk around and you're open carrying again.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that's enough.
People who might not know that think, oh, we're, this is open carry. I can just open carry it. I'll throw it in the car and take it here and open carry it.
Yeah. But again, that's because we have weird transportation laws.
Yeah.
All right. Let's filter out Missouri, see the most recent thing that happened. Oh, I guess there was something back in for March. Anti-gun attempt. They tried to hijack a bill, but it failed.
Are you outside, Smeg?
No, that's someone else making noise.
That's me. Is it annoying? I can mute.
No, I was just curious. Is it like a outdoor frog or?
No, I am. I'm in my living room, but I got the sliding glass door open because it's hot, and it's raining, and there's crickets, and then I think there's some birds out there doing some stuff.
I mean, I kind of like the sound of the outdoors, especially like early morning.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a nice little update I found from Missouri. This was, again, back in March, but these are some pro-gun and anti-gun bills and where they are. So they had House Bill 1865 specifies that lawful owners of firearms may transport and store firearms in locked, privately owned motor vehicles. It's been assigned to the committee. House Bill 1937 prohibits political subdivisions from regulating the open carry of firearms. That's been assigned to House and Rules Committee. Let's see, then we got some anti-gun ones. Basically bans bump stocks and trigger cranks, and it's waiting to be assigned to committee. So it's just been introduced. Hasn't gone anywhere yet. House Bill 1281, unlawful to transfer weapons to unlawful possessors of a firearm. So it's illegal to break the law because I'm pretty sure that's already against the law.
That's like doubly illegal.
Yeah, that one's also waiting to be assigned. So like, if they're waiting to be assigned committee, it means they haven't even gone through like the first little step. They've basically just been introduced. Actually, all of these anti-gun ones are waiting to be assigned to committee. They have another one of take guns first, due process maybe later someday in the future. That's 1340, waiting committee.
Because I've always wondered with Missouri specifically, because St. Louis is by far the largest metropolitan area in the state, if they tend to have the same problem as we in Illinois have, as far as one city, one metropolitan area dictating the rest of the state.
I think they're more violent than Chicago and St. Louis. It's more deadly.
St. Louis is a violent town. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but you know what part's the violentest part of St. Louis? East St. Louis, which is across the border over in your state.
Right next door to Alton, which is the second most violent.
We're talking about most violent cities. I think it was Ellis or somebody had it like a list from somewhere, and I'm pretty sure St. Louis was above Chicago. Surprising.
Last time I looked, Flint was on there.
Yeah, Flint and Detroit are both on there. We're in the top 5. We have two. Michigan has 2 cities in the top 5.
I think we have 3. I know Inkster was on there at one point.
It's not in the top 5.
Is that per capita or just total numbers?
I think per capita.
Because that's where Chicago gets the attention, is its
Capita,
total numbers
Chicago.
that is per capita.
Yeah, it's per capita because Chicago has more, period.
Yep.
But again, billions of people, bunch of murders, but few people in all the murders. That's St. Louis.
So, anyways, I just went through the rest of that list, just skimming it, and it's all the stuff we've seen everywhere else. That they all got introduced, but they haven't gone anywhere. And since that was back in March, and I didn't see anything like all the way up through now, my guess is they're still just sitting there waiting to hit committee. So that's one of those. There's probably like 2 or 3 lawmakers that introduce the same shit every single year, and then it just sits and dies, and then they introduce it over and over again.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, the only ones that were even in committee were those couple of kind of pro-gun ones, which, I don't know, it was all about transporting or whatever, keeping a gun in a car. Nothing earth-shattering. Although, those are still important. I shouldn't downplay some of those smaller things. Like, that's, they chipped away at our rights. Sometimes they take a big chunk every once in a while, but most of the time they chipped away at it, and we can kind of, same thing, right? If you have a huge hole in the wall, sometimes you got to just like put one little piece back up and mortar that in place, and then put another little piece next to it. You don't just take one giant rock and shove it in the wall and say, okay, we're done. We get your rights back one at a time also. Although I think you should always try the Hail Mary. We have to keep pushing them. We have to keep trying to repeal the NFA. If we get suppressors out of the deal, okay, great. I'm going to keep trying to repeal the entire NFA.
Right. It's essentially our version of them reintroducing the same bills session after session after session. You never know when might be the magic session that all of a sudden things that we had not anticipated will change to our favor, and we already have a bill put in place.
I feel like Bloomberg ought to be having these conversations like, when did this happen? When did they remove the NFA? Weren't these things illegal before? No. What? How come? And there's no violence. What do we do now?
That would be awesome if we just snuck that in and they had no idea what was going on. I mean, there's plenty of people that didn't realize the assault weapons ban sunsetted because we didn't see some type of like wild uptick in violence or anything. It's like, oh, you can have those now? Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that.
Why don't we just have a common sense law that says whatever the anti-gunners think guns are should be legal? Like, or maybe a common sense law that says whatever the anti-gunners suggest is already legal will now be legal. And we can all have full auto things.
Right, no background checks ever for anything.
Books will be harder to find than Glocks.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Burn all the books so no one can get them. We all remember that quote. It's easier to buy a gun than to read a book. Because I don't know about you guys, but I can find books pretty easy. So, I'd vote for that. I would vote for the easier
I
to
can
get a gun
remember
than a
back
book
when I was in
law.
school. Back when I was in school, they would bring this big like RV camper type of thing to the school, and then like they would take a room, maybe sometimes even the gym, and they would like fill it full of guns, and then you would just walk through with like a big bag, and it was like $1. You'd have all the guns you wanted. The Scholastic Gun Festival.
Yeah, and then you get the little the sticky gun, which the first time you drop it, it's ruined forever. They say you can wash the thing, but it never sticks the same after. Yeah, that's fine. I remember those book ones. Yeah, you'd go through and you'd get to pick out a couple things and
A couple of
Good to
things,
go.
if I remember right, you could have like for like a nickel or something. Like you could buy pretty much any book you ever thought about or have any interest in. I think that was the whole point.
Yep. But yeah, I do remember they also had the little they had a couple toy things that were like that as well. I don't think it was the same group as the books, but they did a similar thing around Christmas time. They're like, you can get gifts for your family, and it's all dollar store crap. I remember I did it once, and my mom was like, "Don't ever do that again. This is crap." I was like, "Oh, I got taken advantage of."
They would bring you in and let you buy shit. Yeah, it was crap. Yeah.
But that's where I went with it. I used to always, I'd get the little sticky hand that you throw against the wall or whatever. And that's where I'm saying the first time that thing touches the ground, it's ruined.
I have a traveling question with guns.
That's what you got your mom for Christmas?
No, it's not what that was something I got for myself. But it was the same group or whatever. No, I don't know. I got my mom some stupid thing. It wasn't the only thing I got her. I'll tell you that much. But I remember her saying yeah, these aren't worth a lot or whatever. I forget how she explained it to me. It was basically yeah, these people just rip you off. Don't buy stuff from them.
I have a traveling gun question. And
okay, are you going to travel in a giant camper and set it up at schools?
I just so happen to be looking at states that have reciprocity with Missouri, and I saw that the New York there, and it just reminded me of it's an issue for many people trying to drive, let's say, to the far northeast, whether it be Maine, Vermont, the other one. I always get Vermont and its twin.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire confused with each other. But since there's no way to get to those three states, let alone another 3 or 4 states along the way without going through New York, it's other than leaving all your magazines home, could you travel through as long as you didn't go through New York City with, let's say, an AK?
No, not in the state of New York.
Okay, so AKs would need to stay at home.
You can remember Vermont looks like a V. New Hampshire doesn't.
Okay, gotcha.
And stalagmite has an M in it, which looks like things poking up from the ground. And stalactite has a thing hanging down from the ceiling, which looks like a thing hanging down from the ceiling.
And they are holding on tight so they don't fall.
That's a dumb way of remembering it, because you can hold tight to the ground too. It doesn't help you any.
Sorry, my bad. That's how I remembered it. I'm just dumb.
Yeah, what did your mom give you 9 pizzas, or did she give you 9 pies?
Aye. But I'm also thinking about how the people up there are literally trapped and can't get out. New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine.
Yeah,
Literally,
see, I thought that would be covered under your like safe travel thing.
well, you would
But
think
it's
so,
not.
except for some reason, states are continually allowed to get away with not honoring the peaceable journey laws.
They don't like the law. They're doing everything they can to push it the same way we do things to, create law cases so that we can push them to the Supreme Court also.
That was one of the laws. I mean, normally when the federal government anticipates a problem with the state complying, they usually say, and if you don't comply, you won't be getting your federal highway funds, and that thus or their education funds, and that gets them to comply. Well, in this case, they didn't do that. So this is a prime example of why the government does what they do to force the states to comply. But they didn't do that in this case, so now the states are doing whatever they want. Now you've got, 3 states in the Northeast that are landlocked and can't leave easily. And nobody be able to get from the outside up to Maine easily.
Well, who the person to ask would be Cycle. He leaves it back and forth through there.
Yeah, but I don't know if he ever travels or if he even has any black guns.
You could send stuff to your
Right.
destination, couldn't you? Couldn't you ship your stuff ahead?
Yeah, I'm just saying easily.
I'm just saying he knows the laws, maybe, though.
Yeah, I mean, as far as putting them into your trunk, leaving them empty, leave your magazines at home because they're over 10 rounds.
I get it.
But even going that far, that's not enough.
All right,
I suppose you could do the ship them UPS, go to a hub.
All right, take it easy, taters.
See you later. I'm going to bed.
Get your tater. But I also find when looking stuff up online that there's a lot of these websites, like I'm looking at a state website, but even like USA Carry, where they don't date the web page, so you can't tell how current or old the information is.
Yeah, do you remember concealedcarry.org?
Yeah.
That guy had a good effort for a long time.
I really like I believe it's handgunlaw.com or .org, something like that.
Handgunlaw.us or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think it might be .us. I like that one because you click on any state. Every state's like formatted the same. Like they have the same categories, and then they give like a summary. So it's like a real quick answer, like, oh, is concealed carry allowed? Like, yes. And then they link to the actual legal document that addresses that. So you can read it for yourself and see if their interpretation of the law matches, what you think it should be.
Right. It just seems that I don't know, maybe it's just obvious to me, but here they have some new gun sales records March. Well, that's just an article. But for like the maps, they should at least date them. Like January of 2016 or something, just so you know that what to look out for.
Well, can you click on one of the states and pull it up? Maybe they say something at the state level.
Sure. This is New York when it comes up. It's telling us
all the reciprocity and whatnot.
The issue office must inform the officer immediately. No, you don't have to. So it seems like a good idea.
I mean, I guess
that's the pages out of the Gun Owners Traveler's Guide.
Right. New York does not honor any other state's permit or license.
Well, there you go. Over on the side, last updated February 10th or whatever.
There it is right there. So, yeah, February of 18. Well, that's good to know.
And then when you get to some of the other ones, when they reference the law, you can see
that is the web version of the book, so it's updated every year. I'm guessing they probably do the same due diligence to the website, if not more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think the website gets updated a little bit faster than the book does. But
Yeah,
I do like the idea of having the book if you are traveling, because if something comes up and you have the book with you, like you might be able to, maybe even at the side of the road to the officer, be like, listen, I did the best due diligence I could. I have this year's version of the book, and it tells me that in M5826.259, I'm allowed to do this. And then they say, oh, we changed it last week. It's like, well, crap. I mean, you might still get in trouble, but it gives you a little wiggle room of going, like, I'm trying, man. Like, I'm trying to do my best. I'm sorry I made a mistake. And maybe you can get a little sympathy.
And for somebody that's not a hardhead, it's exactly what you said. It might get you a little softer response.
Yeah, seeing that was last updated April 17th. So they update the different state pages probably whenever something happens.
Yeah, this one I'm looking at, just for wondering who might not be able to read it. This is Missouri. Of course, Illinois doesn't basically accept everybody. It's almost like New York.
Yeah, there are 10 states that are impossible to carry in unless you have a resident from that state.
So they're able to do that for CCW. Why don't we have that for 2A?
It's all just time and effort. Maybe we should, huh?
Oh, you mean a clickable map?
And the accurate, up-to-date, compiled, easily accessible information, yeah. Well formatted and everything. Nice and simple. No ads.
And having it color coded really makes it easy to understand.
I'd be down with doing some effort towards that. We just got to figure out what categories we want to talk about, and then like whatever, like you said, for all of 2A. So magazine ban, assault weapons ban, private sales, concealed carry permits, constitutional carry. Trying to think of some other ones.
I do find something interesting is, granted, this is a Missouri site, but it notes Idaho, North Dakota, and Wyoming have permitless carry, but for their residents only.
Right. Yeah, a couple of the constitutional carry states.
Like Arizona, if you come to Arizona and you're legal to own a gun, you can carry a gun however you want. If you go to Wyoming, you have to have a carry permit. If you're a citizen of Wyoming, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
So they trust themselves, but you people have to prove that you're okay.
Outsiders, no go.
Right. But they do accept like every other person's concealed carry permit. So that's kind of nice. If you're able to get one in your own state, then you can carry there.
If you don't live in Vermont, where they don't issue you one, so there's nothing to have, or you have constitutional carry in Arizona. So then you go there and you're like, hey, I live in constitutional carry too. And they're like, well, then go get a permit if you want to carry here. So
I wonder if they have non-resident permits.
What?
Non-resident permits for people that might own property there.
Well, you're talking about what, those states that have constitutional carry just for their own citizens?
Yes.
Yeah, because most of the time those states still offer some type of carry permit if you want it. And yeah, they might offer non-resident ones. So if you're in Vermont, you just get a Wyoming non-resident and then you're good to go.
Yeah, because like coming up from the center of the United States to get up to the Northwest, it's pretty hard to get up there without touching Wyoming or Idaho. Smeggy, did you happen to buy one of those books, or have you seen one from Handgun Law US or anybody else?
No, I do not own one of those books.
The book is called The Gun Owner's Guide to Travel to 50 States or something like that. It's a big white book, 8.5 by 11. It has the same exact format. I'm sure if you go to the main homepage, they'll be selling it to you.
Well, that's why I thought I'd look for it. We got additional reading. Let's go to the main site. Oh, there. Well, that is handgunlaw.us. That is the main site. Travel. Law links. Links to ATF state. No, we don't want ATF state laws.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just search Amazon for the Traveler's Guide or whatever.
But it is called Traveler's Guide.
Gun Owner's Guide to Travel to 50 States or something like that.
Okay.
Well,
or just pick up the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They'll get you anywhere you need to go. Also,
ideally, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, head into somebody's affiliate link, and then you always give them a tag.
Oh, I'm just looking in general. I'm not looking to buy one.
Just type in that. That'll work. That'll work.
Oh.
That's it. Traveler's Guide, yeah.
Okay, let's see. New for 2018.
Huh. I guess they must be separate. They would have definitely been promoting their own book if that was their site.
Yeah.
Almost literally the same format. If you look at that book on Amazon, if you take that title and put it on Amazon, they'll give you like a tour of the pages, and they're like exactly the same format.
Crazy. Featuring new online updates.
Look at that awesome website.
which website is that?
The one Dan was looking at.
Gunlawguide.com. 68 pages.
There's not 68 states. Rip off.
Written by a lawyer.
They're padding.
$14.95 each. That seems like if you're going to travel across, even just do regular travel in your part of the United States, not bad to have. As well as reference material for chat for the whole year.
They come out with them. I forget what month. It's not like right away in January, but whatever month they come out with them, you can usually buy last year's that month. They'll just make them really cheap because they want to get rid of them.
Oh, that's a good idea. So like buy 2017s in, February of 2018 or whatever.
Yep, exactly.
Which should be, 95% up to date. And then, that way, if you're going somewhere specific, maybe check online for the most up to date for just that one state. And then you can add notes or whatever if you need to.
Something they have here that I really like is they have a list state by state of if there's any changes. And you can just, if let's say you're not doing the whole United States, you can just look up various states. Are there any changes for this year? Here we have Pennsylvania, Alabama added as recognized state. Idaho added as recognized state. Virginia dropped from recognition. Boo. Anyway.
Are there any changes in Michigan?
I'm looking. And Michigan is not listed at all.
So probably same as last year. Like I said, I know if you're talking just permits or whatever, we accept all 50 states, but it has to be a resident permit. We don't acknowledge any non-resident permits. So again, like if you're in California, if you can get one from California, come on over to Michigan. But if you can't get one from your home state, you can't just go get a non-resident Utah and then come to Michigan. Like that won't count as a concealed carry permit.
Let's see. They want $15 for an ebook, which I would want a paper one, or $15 for a paper book. I'd much rather have the paper book. Because again, going back to the side of the road, if you're opening your notepad and trying to show somebody something that has a lot less assumed authority than an actual binded book.
Right. Even if the book is literally just, someone printed up the PDF off the website and put it together. Well, actually, I have done that before with the handgunlaw.us. I printed up all of the pages from Michigan, and then I forget where I was going with my gun, but I ended up printing up that states as well. Just so, it was probably either Indiana or Ohio. I was going to one of the states that was right next door. When the heck was I doing that? When did I shoot out of state with my own guns? Where the hell was I going?
When you went to Indiana with the gun channels people to shoot on somebody's farm?
No, when I shot in Indiana, that was with Yesterday Pomade, and I was down there for work. I didn't have my guns with me. I just shot his stuff. I shot in Michigan on Dusty's farm with Squib and Ohio 45.
Oh, was that the Michigan only gun channels gun shoot?
That was just the one time,
no, because
right?
Ohio showed up.
That was just because of the one time?
I just went there one time, yeah. His soil was too moist.
That's what I was to say, his soil, there's no way you're shooting on that more than once.
Yeah. He's got a nice little berm on the side of his field or whatever, but my berm's bigger.
Yeah, but we don't know that, or at least I don't know that.
That was cool though. I do really appreciate that. I mean, that's cool to, have people show up and go shooting. Very nice of him.
Yep.
That he would open up his home to strangers he only knew from the internet.
Yes. Oh, by the way, speaking of strange behavior, people over to your place. How'd the weekend go with your buddies coming up?
No, it was really fun.
I saw the picture of your truck. That looked pretty fun. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I should have took more pictures, but honestly, like when I'm driving up north, about halfway up, I shut my phone off, and it pretty much stays off the rest of the weekend. And then it's always in the house, and I always forget about it when I go shooting. So like the picture from the table, that my buddy took that picture and then just texted it to me. And I got it like later in the weekend or when I got home. But yeah, it was good. We spent the first part of Saturday like building a backstop to kind of keep the sand in place. And I finally did it like the right way, because originally I had some 2x4s that I kind of wedged between a couple of like big logs, like a big ass tree. And I I couldn't dig down that deep because I just had a regular shovel and the logs were in the way. And then I put these other little like trees that were maybe, I don't know, 3-inch diameter or whatever. I stacked those up against it. Well, then the sand backfilled and then pushed the whole thing forward. Like it was leaning forward about a 45-degree angle because they weren't buried that deep. And, you know, just whatever. Sand's got a lot of force. So this time I took a post hole digger up there. My dad had one. So I borrowed that and, you know, dug down like, I don't know, 3 feet, something like that. Like, I mean, I buried them deep and I put 4x4s down and then I screwed 2x6s into the back of it. The bottom half, the 2x6s are like touching each other right next to each other. So that's the part the sand will run into and then get held in place. And then the top half, I staggered them about a foot apart or 18 inches, whatever, so that when you staple up a target, like the center mass is in an opening. So you can sit there and shoot all day and like never, you know, hit the wood. So I'm hoping that part will last longer. But I know eventually they'll get shot up and then I'll just like rip that piece off and put a new piece up or something. Or maybe if I have some scrap, like, you know, 2x4s or like anything really, put those up because I like stapling targets up to the thing. Just keeps them from moving around too much or whatever.
Did you not have any like a bag of cement just to throw at the bottom of the hole just to help keep it in there?
I did not use cement. And the thing is that the backstop that I built this time is actually in front of these 2 logs that I have kind of stepped up, and they kind of hold back like 80% of the hill anyways.
Okay.
So I'm thinking this one should stay up a lot nicer. And I do need to make my backstop bigger. I got to move it over the left a little bit and make it a little bit taller because it has settled out a bit. But I didn't feel like getting the tractor out this weekend. Because the lawnmower was all still hooked up to it. And actually there was snow on the ground, like in the shade. So I was afraid to like start digging into the ground. It might have been a little like too frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it was beautiful during the day. It was like in the 60s, and then the nights were like 30. And you definitely could tell the difference. As soon as the sun dipped below the tree, it's like, oh shit, it's cold. Like it's nice out all day. And then as soon as the sun's not directly hitting you in the face, it was cold. Like I said, nighttime temperatures were like, yeah, like in the 30s. I think one night it dropped to 28.
Well, I sent off a birthday request to get me that book.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's one of those recurring presents. You can give someone the idea and then just be like, hey, this is the thing I want every year.
Yep.
That's like that the Handgunner magazine that I was speaking about. That makes a great Christmas gift because each year my mom just renews the subscription and I get another year's worth of magazines. I really like that one. I've learned a lot of stuff reading that magazine. There's a section, like, I don't know, a column or whatever, where you know, every month the dude talks about like wildcat rounds, like different like reloading things or whatever. And I find the history of like all these different rounds very interesting, of because he gets into like who developed it and why. Like, oh, he wanted a thing that was, you know, a little bit faster than a 30-30, but, you know, didn't kick as much as like a 30-06. And so he took this thing and then necked it down and then added this other thing and did. And it's like, wow, it's really like interesting. And then they get to the technical stuff of like actual, like some load suggestions and, you know, all your normal overall length and, you know, what you can expect for feet per second and all that kind of stuff. I always thought that was pretty neat to have actual like load data of like kind of weird round. I mean, they don't really do like regular stuff. I mean, most people know how to do all that. So
Yep.
it's really interesting. I find it interesting the like sometimes it's just a chance, like what catches on and what doesn't. You know, like we got this new what's it, the 224 Valkyrie or whatever was like the newest thing that everyone was making crap for SHOT Show or whatever. And it's like it'll be interesting to see like does that catch on, or is it a solution to a problem that doesn't exist? Like, you know, and if you have a bunch of firearm manufacturers that get behind it, it's more likely to catch on than just like, oh yeah, here's this round that got invented, but no one chambered a rifle in it, so like no one ever used it.
Right. Yeah, it's totally dependent upon other parts of the industry taking it up and making products and stuff for it.
Right. Or sometimes someone will, you know, make a rifle in a thing, but then the ammo manufacturers don't really get behind it. So it's like you can get it like from Winchester, but like that's it. That's your only option. They're the only ones who make it, you know, whatever.
Or you can get brass and you can get bullets, but you have to hand load it. Or your choice of bullets are you only have 3 different grain weights, but they're all, let's say, Full Metal Jacket, or they're all hollow points, or they're all something.
Right. And a lot of that stuff tends to be like, you know, hunting related, but sometimes it's just for, hey, I wanted a new like, you know, bullseye shooting type thing, and I don't know. I've what I have found, what I find interesting is people that really understand a subject geeking out about it. Even if I don't know much about it at all, just like reading or like listening to podcasts where people like really know their stuff, I find that completely fascinating. And whether I absorb all the info or not, like I at least enjoy, you know, learning it. So yeah, those are some of my favorite articles, are when they're talking about these different like wildcat rounds and why they caught on or why they didn't. And like I said, they go all through the history of this barrel manufacturer started making them, and then they stopped making them in 1964, and then it came back in like 82. This other like Savage started making it, and then it really caught on, and now it's like the most popular one or whatever. Like 2.7.
Okay. Oh, he dropped out. I'm like, got awful quiet all of a sudden. And he's
And it came back.
I figured he got popped. Which now seems to be the normal thing on these hangouts.
Yeah, there's something messed up. That's like normally like I guess I kind of get it with the phone when it like would kick anyone out in the phone or whatever, but it's doing it for people on the computer.
Right.
Like it's been doing it to me the last couple days. And it's like, what the heck? I'm on the computer. I'm not supposed to like get kicked out and refreshed.
Yeah, I've got kicked out several times the past few days on my PC.
Might just be that time where they're updating stuff or whatever. We see that where YouTube starts acting funny for a couple days and Hangouts and things, and then all of a sudden, like everything starts working again. It just sucks for this certain circumstance where I'm not looking at my computer right now. So you guys could leave and I'd have no idea until I'm like, oh, why is it quiet?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you weren't talking at the time, I wouldn't have thought to jump back over and look to see where you were.
Oh, are you saying I just dropped out?
Well, not this instant, but about 3-4 minutes ago.
Oh, really? Okay. 'Cause I heard you say something like, oh, I thought you got NSA pop. I thought you were talking about G-Webs.
No, I was talking about you.
You guys didn't hear my awesome story about how the 270 like was popular for a bit and then wasn't popular and then it came back and now it's a very common hunting ground.
Yeah.
That was basically all I was talking about. It was again going back to the wild card or wildcat things. Now I find that those stories interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers to do a comparison, but like there's the existing 243. You know, ballistically, how much different it already exists.
Yeah, I mean I think a lot of the niches are filled right now, and I mean there might be some improvements and stuff, but I think in this day and age, you're really splitting hairs to try and come up with a new cartridge and see if it actually catches on or not.
Right.
Although it's popular, if you do something better than another caliber can, and you got the support, then you're good to go. Be interesting to see if there's ever another new like handgun around. Like I think 40 Smith and Wesson's the most recent of like actually caught on and started getting used.
Yeah, you know, something that G-Web said a couple years back. Now, whether it was a year ago or 3 years ago, I don't quite remember, but something to the effect of except of any major improvements. I mean, in self-defense projectiles, the bonded bullet was the last that I'm aware of a significant change.
Yeah, well, I mean, for self-defense stuff, there's like gimmicky stuff that's been going on, and I think the future will still show if that catches on or not. You know, you got like the rip ammo or the
Right. I guess I think of that as minor changes. They're just more pedals. Instead of, let's say, having 4 pedals, now you got 8.
I don't know about that because I mean I think that's a fundamentally different way of doing a projectile that's designed to be like semi-frangible, you know, that type of thing. Because that's not how hollow points react. They're designed to squish out and stay together. So the idea of like let's get some things that will like shoot out in the different directions, but still like all together still kind of hold all the mass. I don't know. I think stuff similar to that, or like the extreme penetrator and things like those are different ways to accomplish a job.
Yeah, the extreme penetrator was really just a minor variation of the, you know, trying to get no lead projectiles, going to solid copper. And then a variation of the solid copper to obviously greater penetration.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would kind of like to see some, non-lead options that still perform, to up over like a performance threshold. So I don't want to sacrifice performance to get rid of lead, but
Oh no, I would not be willing to do that. It's just for like practicing going to a range where if all the ranges suddenly became, lead free only, we wouldn't have a choice.
right. Yeah, I kind of like those the what do they call those? But they're like the frangible ones, like the copper matrix or something, where it's like they kind of just press it all together with like powdery stuff. So actually, when you end up like hitting
Words.
something like shooting steel, it ends up just,
It's
becoming frangible and you
similar
can
to
shoot
like
at any range.
similar to a MIM sort of particles where they're metal particles, but it's not one solid piece. It's actually many pieces that are just either chemically or through heat bonded together. But upon impact, will break apart into many, 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 many pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's I think that's a pretty interesting idea. And that's a way of having some ammo that's lead free that, it's still good for training. I don't know if we'd use something like that for, whatever, home defense or something. I mean, it would probably still suck to get hit by it either way, right? But there are better options. I think just getting a regular already, how do you call that? Like, tried and true, just regular old hollow point. Like that's the way to go. Although with frangible ammo, you really don't have to worry about penetration and whatnot, or over penetration, I should say.
If I don't get back to bed pretty soon, I'm never gonna get up. I got shit to do in the morning because I got hit by hail and I got damage.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, it sure did. I was going up to have dinner with my son, and I got caught in a hailstorm, and I got about 12 divots in my hood, and I got about a little bit less than that on the roof of the car, and just one or two on the trunk. But although it's not that much, I don't know if they can pop those loose or whether they can actually have to replace it. I mean, it didn't crinkle the metal.
Right. Yeah, they're just like little like golf ball divot type things, eh?
Yeah, it kind of looks like what I would say if you got shot with a BB gun. But I have full coverage. It's just that the car is too new just to let it start going downhill. New to me, that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mythbusters did the trick, and they found that you actually get better gas mileage with a dimpled car. So maybe you should just leave it. 'Cause, I mean, that's why the holes are in golf balls. It's proven science.
Yeah. You do have a point. So, all right, I'm going to check out, guys. We'll catch you later.
All right, see you, Ditto.
Yep.
Is Jewebs even still here?
Yeah, I'm fading fast though.
Yeah, I kind of am too. So maybe I'll just call it before we all fall asleep.
Right on. Thanks for hosting.
Yep, no problem. That's wasn't as lively a cave as others, but what the heck, it was still fun. So thanks everyone for
In the
watching.
morning, if you're around in the morning, I'm gonna try to meet up with Jimmy and do one live with Jimmy.
Okay, yeah, we'll see what's up. All right, I'm gonna roll over. All right, I'm over. Okay, so anyways, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Again, happy every second matters, although it's well from over now. But the Second Amendment's not over, so whatever, it's all good. With that in mind, everyone check out the Every Second Matters patches over on gearwebsites.com. It's a good way to help, support Every Second Matters, but also those things are shipped out by a place that like hires differently abled people and gives them something to do, and that's cool. I really like that. I mean, it's it's a business that actually cares about helping people. And what else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else, but I forget. So whatever. I'm losing it. Yeah, I'll just end it now then. Oh, check out my legislative update for people that maybe didn't hear the first part. I really appreciate all you guys being just as informed as I am, and leave comments below if I missed something. And that helps everybody. And yeah, shall not be infringed and whatnot. Everyone, take it easy.